Revealed, the divine reason 12 sacred scriptures, including the Ethiopian Bible, were banned. In the heart of a quaint rural village, Thomas, a devout English Lutheran, felt the weight of spiritual revelation hanging in the air like the scent of rain on parched earth. Each week in the historic chapel, aglow with flickering candles, he gathered families to lift their hearts in prayer and song. Under his care, they would weave together the stories of 12 sacred scriptures, rich in hidden truths, including the oft-forgotten Ethiopian Bible. Villagers flocked to hear him speak, their faces illuminated with faith, as if the warmth of divine presence wrapped around them like a comforting blanket, until one day, a scholar appeared in town. With a mind as sharp as a knife and a demeanor as humble as a shepherd, he whispered unsettling questions that stirred ripples of doubt. What if the scriptures you hold dear are mere shadows of a greater truth? He posed, eyes glinting with an intensity that sent shivers through Thomas's soul. The village simmered in disbelief. How could one question what had been their guiding light? As the villagers rallied, their voices rising in fervent defense of their cherished beliefs, Thomas felt an unsettling pull. Outside, voices echoed in vigorous argument while inside, his heart grappled with uncertainty. Just as the world seemed to shimmer in faith, a shadow flickered. In the midst of this turmoil, his son fell gravely ill. The air turned thick with dread, and the village doctors, frantic and desperate, fumbled with cures to no avail. Each passing moment brought darkness that clung to Thomas's heart like a heavy fog that in the quiet chapel, the wooden pews creaked eerily as he poured out his heart to the heavens. "O God, hear my desperate plea." He clutched the altar, desperation spilling from his lips. "Why are you silent in our suffering?" The chapel that once brimmed with joy now felt as if it were holding its breath, awaiting divine response. Then magic stirred in the stillness. As thunder rumbled ominously above, bolts of lightning cracked the sky, each flash revealing the heart of thunderous zenith. With a raw and trembling voice, Thomas cried out anew, collapsing in bittersweet agony. "Help me, Father. Intercede on behalf of my son." Suddenly, a silence fell, a silence pregnant with the weight of prayer. Then, as if the heavens heeded his call, a warm light poured over him, flooding the dim chapel. He looked up through tear-streaked eyes as warmth enveloped his son outside the heavy wooden doors. The villagers standing vigil gasped and murmured, feeling an uncanny shift, witnessing a glow that seemed to wash away despair. As Thomas's son stirred, the illness evaporated like morning dew. Gasps of awe erupted, the villagers embracing one another, joy illuminating their faces. "Praise be!" they shouted, voices ringing with renewed faith. And Thomas, now a conduit of divine grace, felt something awaken inside, a thirst for deeper understanding sparked by the miraculous healing. He stood at the crossroads, though, as doubts lured him toward greater truths. Questions lingered in the air, awaiting answers. The village looked to him, eyes shining with hope, yet lingering shadows beckoned how many more secrets lay hidden beyond their sight. As joy erupted around him, Thomas felt the pull of untapped mysteries growing stronger, urging him to step beyond the carefully sculpted boundaries of belief. What awaited in this extraordinary journey of faith? In the days following the miraculous healing, the village basked in the glow of newfound hope. Thomas walked among his neighbors, their faces shining bright with joy. Yet, within him, a whirlwind of thoughts surged. The laughter of children at play echoed around him, but a still, small voice urged him deeper into mystery. Could the scholar's words bear truth? He pondered, wrestling with the shadows of doubt that now unfurled their tendrils in his heart. What lies beyond this faith we hold so dearly? With each step, he felt the weight of unasked questions that echoed louder than the shouts of celebration surrounding him. At the chapel, sacred whispers of both devotion and doubt entwined. The flickering candlelight danced against the stone walls, casting shadows reflecting the struggle of his spirit. He knelt upon the altar, the wood cool beneath him, grounding him in this moment of stillness. "Lord," he breathed, "reveal to me the secrets hidden from our sight. Show me if there is more." As he prayed, the air thickened with a divine presence. It was as though the heavens themselves opened a window just above him, and he was drawn into a sacred dialogue that he could hardly comprehend. In his mind's eye, he began to see the scriptural stories he loved, yet they transformed before him into vivid scenes layered with meaning. He saw Abraham, not just as a patriarch, but as a man wrestling with fear, his faith trembling as he held tightly to God's promise. He glimpsed the moment Moses stood at the Red Sea, where his doubt could have washed away his courage if not for the divine hand that parted the waters. These were not mere tales, they were echoes of struggle and faith intertwined like threads in a magnificent tapestry. Could it be, Thomas thought, that each story we share is but a fragment of a larger truth? A truth meant to guide us through the shadows, teaching us to search and discover. His heart raced with the thrill of revelation. Outside, the voices of the villagers grew louder, singing hymns that reverberated through the chapel walls. They were praising God for the miracle, and yet, Thomas sensed an urgency and invitation to seek beyond the familiar. He stepped outside, the sun lighting the path ahead. The villagers turned toward him, faces expectant, longing for him to share the burden of uncertainty that had settled companionably on his shoulders. "What now?" one of them asked, a tremor of faith evident in his voice. "We must not settle for less than the fullness of truth," Thomas replied, his voice steady yet filled with newfound passion. "Together, let us delve deeper. Let us uncover the scriptures that have been hidden, the ones that speak of greater mysteries, those that can further illuminate our faith." As he spoke, an electrifying hush fell over the crowd. They sensed the gravity of his words, the spark of adventure igniting their spirits. Were they ready to embark on a journey that might unravel the very foundations of their beliefs? In that moment, a shift occurred. As Thomas's heart stirred with hope, a flutter of anticipation surged through the villagers, blending excitement with a hint of trepidation. They turned to him, a collective murmur manifesting as he met their gaze, a silent question hanging in the air, promising to lead them beyond the veil of what they thought they knew. Thomas's heart raced as he felt the call of the unknown. What revelations awaited them on this path? What divine truths lingered in the shadows, eager to be uncovered? With each heartbeat, he sensed destiny weaving a thread between them, beckoning them closer to a greater dimension of faith. And so, standing at the threshold of exploration, Thomas knew they were not just searching for ancient texts but grasping at the very essence of their souls, ready to discover what God had hidden in plain sight, and what might come to light when they dared to ask the questions that lingered. The following days brimmed with excitement and anxiety as the villagers began to gather around Thomas. Each meeting felt like a revival of their spirits, an awakening to passions long buried beneath layers of routine and complacency. The air shivered with whispers of hope, punctuated by the hymns that resonated through the fields and echoed off weathered chapel stones. Underneath the golden sun, Thomas felt a mission breathing within him. The villagers would not only hear of ancient stories but would see them come alive. They would not stop at mere discussions, they would delve into the heart of the sacred texts. Night after night, they huddled around the flickering light of lamps, their faces reflecting the warmth of the flames and the fiery quest for understanding. One evening, Thomas felt led to initiate a prayer that would open their hearts to receive revelation. As the villagers bowed their heads in unity, he spoke with a fervent spirit. "Lord, bring forth the mysteries we are meant to know. Ignite our minds and hearts to see not just the surface of these stories but the deep truths beneath." The atmosphere electrified, drawing in a hum of divine presence that tingled against their skin. Thomas felt that tangible shift, something in the air had changed. As they opened the scriptures, a sense of urgency filled the space. They began reading stories that were familiar yet unfamiliar all at once. The account of Noah struck deeply as they explored not only his obedience but his unwavering trust in God amidst a sea of doubt. The villagers began discussing their own trials, sharing moments when their faith felt as fragile as Noah's wooden ark, yet it remained steadfast against the storm. An elderly woman, her voice trembling, shared her own tale of perseverance through loss, how finding strength was like gathering twigs to build a fire. "Is that what we do? Stay warm with faith when the world is icy?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with revelation. "Yes," called another villager, his voice rising above the murmurs. "Our faith must sustain us." But what of the scriptures that have been suppressed? What wisdom lies buried beneath the weight of fear and tradition? The question hung in the air like a sweet aroma, inviting deeper contemplation. Thomas felt the weight of it. It was an invitation to action, a prompting from the Spirit. "We must search," he declared. "We owe it to ourselves and each other to seek the truth." As he spoke, the flickering firelight caught the faces of those around him. He saw fear, excitement, and determination swirl together, illuminating the hope that had taken root within them. Days turned into a routine of gathering, studying, and praying. They uncovered stories from the Ethiopian Bible, discovering parables and teachings that spoke of inclusivity and grace, revelations that seemed to break the mold of narrow interpretations. With every page, the villagers felt shackles of tradition loosening, unveiling the boundless nature of God's love. Thomas could sense a growing restlessness within himself, a yearning to challenge the conventional views embraced by their community. He would share with the villagers the beauty of exploration and inquiry, urging them not to recoil but to embrace the mysteries yet uncovered. The village shifted, and the divine rhythm pulsed faster. One dark evening, as clouds gathered overhead, Thomas felt a powerful urge to call a gathering under the stars. "Come. Tonight, we stand together. We will illuminate the path ahead," he invited, his heart racing with anticipation. As they took their places under the vast sky, a palpable energy filled the air as they lifted their voices in worship. Every note united them, resonating in the depths of their spirits, igniting a passion for truth that would not be easily extinguished. It was a moment of divine unity and trust that connected them to something much bigger. Yet, as they pulled back from their worship, another question lingered, one that clawed at the edges of their hearts: would embracing this broader understanding of faith lighten their burdens? Or lead to unexpected conflicts? With uncertainty sparking curiosity in the eyes of the villagers, Thomas knew they were on the brink of a divine revelation. What truths lay ready to unveil? What challenges awaited those who dared to embrace the untold? The night felt thick with promise, urging them to step forward into the murky depths of faith. The path ahead glimmered with hope, yet it beckoned with an uncertainty to explore. The night sky stretched above them like a vast sea of mysteries, twinkling stars hinting at knowledge yet to be discovered. Thomas stood at the center, heart pounding with anticipation. The worship had kindled something profound in the villagers, a shared yearning to know more, to dive deeper into faith, yet that same atmosphere swirled with the uncertainty of what lay ahead. "Tonight," Thomas began, gazing into the faces lit softly by the starlight, "we will take a step into the unknown. We believe there is truth waiting for us, hidden within verses we never dared to question. Are we ready to unearth them?" His words rolled like thunder, echoing in the hearts of those gathered, sparking whispers of agreement and excitement. "Let us journey together into the Scripture again," he urged, "with open hearts and open minds. We will no longer let fear stop us." The villagers formed small circles, fervently engaging in discussions, recalling fragments of verses that had long been overlooked or dismissed. They puzzled over the contexts, seeking to understand what had been lost through generations of silence. Two young men, eager and animated, debated the implications of grace. "Imagine if we truly embraced God's love for all. Think of the freedom," one exclaimed, his eyes shining bright. A soft voice came through the crowd. "But what if our understanding fractures the peace we've built? What if truth brings division?" That question hung heavily, echoing the fears of many in the congregation. Thomas felt their apprehension, for he too had wrestled with the friction of faith. He stepped forward, compelled to address it. "Truth may shake us, but isn't that how we grow? Isn't that how God reveals more of himself?" His words danced in the air, palpable and stirring. The flutter of unease transformed into something energetic, something eager. The oppressive darkness above seemed to shimmer ever so slightly, as if waiting with bated breath for their decision. With renewed fervor, they turned to a fragment of the Ethiopian scriptures found earlier, one that spoke of the kindness of God towards those on the margins of society. "Here!" shouted an older man, his finger tracing the words. "This is a call to love those whom we have excluded." Each word struck with conviction, sewing a tapestry of understanding amongst them. Laughter flared in pockets as stories of kindness emerged. Remember when we welcomed the lost traveler last winter? Another shared, sparking warmth and camaraderie. We opened our hearts, and in turn, God warmed our souls. But even in the glow of this unity, Thomas noticed shadows flickering at the edges of their joy. The journey of faith was rarely a smooth ascent. What if folks from neighboring villages do not accept us? A voice chimed in, laden with concern. What if our boldness leads to conflict? The questions kept coming, and with them a wildfire of emotions: fear, excitement, hope, doubt. Voices mingled in passionate discourse, prayers rising, hearts wrestling with the weight of potential change. Thomas stood back for a moment, feeling the pulse of the collective heart of the village. God was stirring something deep within them. Even in uncertainty, we are called to move forward. We are called to love fiercely. He declared, his own heart blazing with conviction. As the conversations intertwined, the clarity of their direction emerged. They would devote themselves, not only to understanding God's word but to practicing it daily. The vulnerability of that path excited and terrified them all at once. It was the essence of stepping into the unknown, a divine invitation to live what they learned, yet, the vast night sky still loomed, shadowed and full of potential, with one lingering thought emerging within Thomas, echoing through his mind: but what will be the consequence of this awakening? Will the truth we uncover lead to a brighter future or invite unforeseen trials upon us? With that question fleeting in the night air, Thomas knew they stood on the precipice of something monumental. Their journey had just begun, but what awaited them? What challenges loomed ahead that would test their resolve and faith even further? He felt the promise of the next revelation glimmering just out of reach, urging them to press on. The villagers lingered in the starry night, the atmosphere thick with the weight of anticipation and uncertainty. Each person stood at the crossroads of their faith, where the familiar met the unknown. Thomas sensed the energy buzzing around him, hearts beating in tune with the hopes and the fears swirling like autumn leaves caught in a gentle wind. Let us not let our minds be clouded by doubt, Thomas called out, standing tall. Remember, every truth revealed comes with a chance to grow, to soar beyond our past limitations. God does not lead us into darkness, but into the light, even if that light requires us to see things differently. Nods of agreement spread through the assembly like a ripple in water. Some faces lit with determination, while others trembled with worry. Thomas could see it all, the struggle within them mirrored his own. Yet he pressed on, igniting their faith further. Tonight, let us dig deeper, peel back the layers that have kept us from the heart of God's message. We have unearthed wisdom before, and we can do it again. Let us turn to the passages that shake our foundations. His heart raced, he felt the divine presence energizing the air, encouraging the darkness to recede. They returned to the texts, discussing words that had long lain dormant. One by one, they uncovered their meanings with enthusiastic fervor. An older woman, her voice steady yet filled with awe, recounted stories from the forbidden scriptures. In these verses, we find the boldness of a faith that reaches across borders, a faith that embraces the outcast. Isn't it time we let go of our fears? Isn't it time we understood our neighbor? As the night wore on, flames of inspiration ignited. Stories began to flow, miracles shared, lives transformed by the simple act of love. There was laughter, and along with it, a profound sense of community. Yet, a single flicker of concern caught Thomas's attention again. Are we prepared for what might come? A voice quivered from the back. The world hasn't always welcomed change, and neither have we. It was a sobering reminder of the resistance that often shadows revelation. Thomas inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of this reality he had faced it himself countless times. Yes, we must brace ourselves for the storms that may come. The truth we seek can challenge us and may even provoke discord. But it will also unify us under God's warmth, lighting the way forward, if only we trust. Encouraged, the villagers began speaking over one another, voices overlapping with their fears and hopes. Some added their own musings on divine love, while others reflected on the potential consequences. Thomas listened, feeling the joyful tension rise. Look around you. He prompted gently. Look at the hearts ignited with passion. These are not fleeting flames, they are the beginning of a wildfire of faith. We are more than conquerors in this journey. The air around them shimmered with excitement and possibility. Thomas felt something sacred shift as the truth began to settle in their spirits, hearts growing bolder, eyes sparkling. But just as joy seemed to swell, a sudden gust of wind rushed through the gathered folk, interrupting their fervor. A chill passed over them, reminding everyone that not all transitions come without cost. Will the fire of our love endure the trials? A young woman spoke softly. Can we truly stand firm when conflicts arise? The question lingered, heavy yet filled with promise. As the night unfolded, Thomas could sense their doubts mingling with hopes. The Spirit of God hovered among them, urging them to continue forward. Let us prepare ourselves for what lies ahead as we step deeper into this new understanding. Let us cling to the promise of love and support for one another. The villagers drew closer, united, determined. Together they would weather any storm. It was a moment of awakening, but something awaited them beyond the horizon of that night. What new truths would emerge? And what trials might beckon them forward, reshaping their community and faith? Thomas could feel the weight of what lay ahead. Pressing down, stirring the hearts gathered for the unknown journey. Would they be ready to embrace it all? Would they trust in God to guide them through every challenge they would face? The wind danced through the trees, whispering secrets of the night. Thomas took a deep breath. He could feel the palpable tension stretching across the gathered crowd. The flickering light from the flames cast deep shadows, stirring feelings that were both exhilarating and frightening. As silence began to blanket them, an elderly man stepped forward, his face carved by time and experience. We have walked through many seasons in our lives, he spoke slowly, his voice calm yet resonating. But now, it feels as if we are on the brink of something larger. Yet I wonder. Are we really ready for the challenges that lie ahead? His question hung in the air, echoing in the hearts of each villager. Thomas felt the weight of it, an honest inquiry that called for reflection. The murmurs quieted once more as eyes fell upon Thomas, expecting him to respond. Change is a hard path, yes, but it's in the heart of uncertainty that true faith is born, he said, feeling a spark of inspiration fuel his thoughts. We must remember that even in hardship, God is present, preparing us for glory beyond our understanding. What may feel like an obstacle could actually be our stepping stone. A ripple of agreement washed through the villagers, but caution still held tight within some. I have felt the weight of fear, a young mother shot forward, her voice trembling like the leaves above. How can we stand strong when our convictions will meet resistance? What if there's backlash from those who struggle with our new vision? Thomas stepped closer, heart aching for her. It's true, new beginnings can provoke discomfort. But every time God led his people into something significant, it wasn't without trials. Yet, in those trials, his faithful love became the strength they relied on. Their eyes flickered with hope, yet the lingering doubts remained. He sensed their souls wrestling with the questions how to trust this journey when the outcome remained hidden. Let me share something profound, Thomas encouraged, a smile of warmth embracing his face. Consider the story of the mustard seed. It starts so small, yet becomes a towering tree, giving shelter to the birds. It flourishes because it endures the rain and the wind. Our faith, like that seed, can grow mighty when nurtured by love and kindness, even through the storms. A soft sigh echoed among them, a collective realization dawning. Stories of the mustard seed transformed into personal reflections, each heart opening as memories flowed. They spoke of times when love overpowered fear, where light illuminated their darkest places. But then, a flicker of doubt pierced through. What if we lose ourselves in this pursuit? A voice hesitated. How do we ensure that we do not let go of our core values while reaching for this new understanding? Thomas nodded, appreciating the concern. We must root ourselves in the teachings we hold dear. God's essence remains steadfast. As we explore new truths, let our foundation always be love. It is that love that must guide our revelations. The villagers exchanged affirming nods, sensing the truth in his words. It became a resolution born of hearts knit in faith. Just as a hush of clarity began to settle, a distant rumble of thunder echoed in the sky. A warning, a reminder of the potential upheaval ahead. Lightning flashed, illuminating the faces of the villagers, reflecting both fear and exhilaration. Thomas felt that shift again as stirring within his spirit. We stand on the cusp of awakening, children of light. Will you gather the courage to step forward together? Hands reached for one another, a web of connection forming in the gathering twilight. But the question lingered, could they truly rise above the challenges? As the night deepened, they felt the weight of commitment bind their hearts together. Yet, with every promise made, an uncharted future lay ahead, cloaked in divine mystery. What thresholds would they face as they pushed deeper into these revelations? What unexpected changes awaited their community? The answers seemed just out of reach, shrouded in an enchanting veil of anticipation, waiting to be stirred. Would they embrace the unknown journey, trusting in the promise that awaited them? The air buzzed with an electric excitement. Thomas could feel it coursing through him, mingling with the tension that lingered in the evening air. As they held hands, the warmth of their connection was a testament to the unity forged among them. Thomas noticed eyes gleaming with determination, hope pulsed like a heartbeat among them. Just then, another voice rose, a young man named Elijah, whose spirit radiated with fervor. What if this awakening calls us to sacrifice? He asked, concern etching his brow. What if the light we seek leads us to face great trials, even to lose those we cherish? Thomas met his gaze, seeing the fear and loyalty intertwined. A worthy inquiry, dear friend. Every journey towards light will have its shadows. There may come moments that test our resolve. But know this, love does not shrink in the presence of adversity, it expands. A murmur of agreement fluttered around, the villagers digesting the truth of his words. In the faint light of the fire, one of the elders spoke, his voice carved from courage. We have faced dark nights before, he reminded them. We have walked through valleys of shadows and emerged stronger. Our ancestors have taught us to stand firm. If we lean on one another and our faith, we shall rise against the tempest. The sound of thunder echoed again, deeper, more resonant this time. It seemed to chant an age-old song of perseverance, a reminder of nature's voice entwined with divine will. Thomas sensed a shift, like the winds re-evaluating their course. Let us draw courage from the pages of our sacred texts, Thomas urged, lifting an arm towards the heavens. Remember the stories of old. Did not Daniel stand in the lion's den, unafraid? Did Moses not confront Pharaoh to lead his people to freedom? Each challenge brought them closer to God, closer to providence. Eyes turned upward, tracing the silhouette of the stars beginning to emerge through the blanket of clouds. Each twinkle seemed to echo promises, reverberating with the collective will of the assembled souls. But you see, Thomas continued, lowering his hand, it's in the act of stepping forward that we discover not just who we are, but whose we are. It is when we confront the unknown together that we experience the presence of God most profoundly. In our unity, His light will shine the brightest. As the villagers held tightly to one another, a faint shimmer glinted in the sky, an ethereal light breaking through the clouds, illuminating their gathering in a gentle glow. Gasps echoed, followed by a breathless silence. Was this merely a trick of light, or was it a divine whisper of approval? Elijah, inspired, spoke once more, determination flooding his voice. Then let us not falter. Let us chase the light wherever it leads us. We will forge ahead as one great family of faith. The collective will surge forth, hearts reverberating with a shared heartbeat. The energy grew, pulsating through them. They felt it an awakening, and then came a soft voice from the back, a woman named Miriam, known for her wisdom. But if God calls us forward, what must we leave behind? What burdens might we need to sacrifice? The question lingered, complex and heavy. Thomas felt its pull. Each heart bore its own weight, its own set of chains that perhaps were meant to be shed. Let us reflect on this, Thomas said, his tone steady yet tender. For in our personal journey, we each must examine what binds us. What fears, doubts, and hesitations could we be clinging to? Sometimes it's not just about where we're going, but what we're willing to release to move forward. He could see the realization settling in, eyes widening with a new awareness. They would have to confront their inner hesitations. This was merely the beginning of their transformation. As the shadows began to deepen, the crackling fire became a beacon of hope, lighting their way. The storm clouds swirled ominously overhead, but within each heart ignited a fierce resolve. What deep-seated fears would they confront? What new beginnings awaited them when they dared to break free? Would the purifying fires lead to a rebirth soft as dawn? The path lay shrouded in divine mystery, and the journey was just beginning. The fire's glow flickered against the growing shadows, casting dancing silhouettes that echoed the unease settling within the hearts of the villagers. Thomas watched as each person shifted, contemplating the burdens they carried, perhaps unspoken but ever-present. The air thickened with the weight of unvoiced fears and hopes, and for a moment, a serene stillness enveloped them. "Let us share our fears," Thomas encouraged gently. "Vulnerability brings us closer, opens the door to healing." A hesitant murmur spread through the crowd. Finally, it was Mira, a young woman with soft eyes, who stepped forward. Her voice trembled slightly. "I fear of being left behind. What if I am not strong enough to follow?" A hush fell as others nodded in empathy. They all felt it, the fear of isolation, of falling away from the path they were meant to tread. From the back, an older man spoke up. "I fear loss. My family they've grown distant in these trials. I worry what if I lose them completely if I embark on this journey." Each confession carved deep lines of understanding on the faces surrounding the fire. As the circle of vulnerability widened, the confessions spilled forth, a stream of hardship and trepidation washing over the gathering. "Not everyone will understand," Elijah added, his voice strong yet gentle. "As we pursue our calling, we might find ourselves set apart from those we love." "Yet," interjected Thomas, "with each step in courage, we could become beacons for them. Our pursuit may lead them back to the light." Miriam raised her hand, a thoughtful frown crossing her face. "But what if we invite further strife instead of peace? What if our journey stirs more storms than solace?" "Every rebirth is often birthed from great struggle," Thomas answered, feeling the tension of the conversation hover like a mist around them. "Our fears do not dictate our destination, they prepare us for the journey. Even the transformative process can be painful, but in surrender, we become conduits of grace." As the last word hung in the air, the stars re-emerged from behind the clouds. Their luminous glow seemed to respond to Thomas's heart. For a brief moment, it felt as if heaven leaned closer, listening. The villagers lifted their eyes, and a sense of calm began to settle over the gathering, like a tender embrace from a long-lost friend. "We must remember," he continued, "sacrifice does not always mean loss. Sometimes, it brings a new birth, new life. It leads us toward a deeper understanding of our purpose." The crowd remained silent, but within the shared space, Thomas sensed hearts stirring. This awakening was deeper than he had ever anticipated, light emerging from their shared burdens. "I suggest we write down what we wish to release," Thomas proposed, his voice steady with conviction. "Let us symbolize our commitment to surrendering those fears here tonight." They nodded, understanding the weight of this small act. As the fire crackled merrily in acknowledgement, they began to gather slips of paper, each a solemn promise to let go of their chains. Moments later, with souls ignited and pens poised, the rustle of the paper filled the air like a whispered prayer. They penned their deepest fears and hesitations, releasing them into the flame's embrace, seeing them transformed into ashes, a fitting metaphor for renewal. As the final piece of parchment surrendered to the fire, a cool breeze swept through the clearing. It brushed against their skin, a gentle caress carrying an unseen message, a reminder, perhaps, that they were never alone. It was Elijah who broke the silence that followed, eyes shining brighter than before. "What if, instead of what we carry, we focus on what is ahead? What awaits us on the journey?" Indeed, Thomas replied, allowing a grin to bloom across his face. What divine wonders might be revealed beyond the veils of our fears? With this question hanging in the cool night air, the villagers felt the excitement of anticipation build once more. United in purpose and shared resolve, they were ready to chase the dawn that lay ahead. What transformation awaited them as they stepped into the unknown? The answers lingered just out of reach, revealed only as they ventured forward. As the villagers sat around the fire, a new energy began to seep into their hearts. They were a little bolder now, transformed by the act of surrendering their fears. Eliah's question echoed in their minds, filling the night with a palpable promise. What lay ahead? What divine surprises awaited? Thomas noticed Myra's bright eyes glistening with curiosity. What do you think awaits us? She asked breathlessly, the wonder spilling from her lips. I believe our journey holds more than we can see, Thomas replied. The path ahead is often shrouded in mystery, but isn't there beauty in the unknown? Isn't that where God often meets us? A murmur of agreement rippled through the circle. Each member of the gathering looked into the depths of the fire, their thoughts dancing with the flames. Miriam spoke again, her voice a melody of quiet strength. What if we each shared our hopes, like we shared our fears? Doesn't hope ignite a different kind of fire within us? The suggestion lifted the spirits of the group. One by one, they began to speak of their dreams and aspirations. A single thread wove through their aspirations the yearning for purpose. I hope to find my voice, said a young man named Jacob, his eyes flickering with determination. I want to be a source of strength for others, just like Thomas has been for us. I hope to mend the bonds with my family, the older man chimed in, his voice thick with heartfelt longing. I wish to share this journey with those I love, uniting our hearts and spirits in faith. As silence fell again, the glow of the fire illuminated their faces, revealing the warmth of hope that now soared among them. Thomas felt it too, the pulse of aspiration echoing in tandem with the burbling brook nearby, flowing and alive. Hope is a powerful force, he reminded them. It keeps our spirits buoyant. Just like the light of this fire, it dispels shadows, illuminating the path we take. An unexpected wave of emotion washed over him, and he raised his voice slightly. They needed to grasp the significance of both fear and hope. Fears are chains that bind us. But hope sets us free. It gives us wings. When we uphold each other's hopes, we build a bridge into the future, a future shaped by kindness, courage, and compassion. As he spoke, the night embraced them, a tapestry woven with shared trust. A gentle breeze stirred, murmurings rustling through the trees, as if nature herself was affirming their collective heartbeat of hope. Eliah looked around the circle, his gaze steadfast. It seems that fear and hope are two sides of the same coin. One prepares the soil, the other plants the seeds of our future. At that moment, a shooting star streaked across the canvas of the night sky. Gasps filled the air, the light sprinkling their souls like starlight. It was as if their hopes were being echoed back to them, a divine seal upon their intentions. With closed eyes, they raised their hands to the sky. In that sacred stillness, they surrendered their desires, enfolding them within the spirit of the universe. Soon the veil of night began to soften, hinting at the dawn ahead. A warm blush of light graced the horizon, but questions lingered what awaited them as the sun rose. Would their hopes illuminate something beyond reason, or would they confront deeper shadows? As they prepared themselves, hearts racing with faith and expectation, a new challenge loomed, one that would test their unity and resolve. What trials awaited as they followed their dreams into the dawning day? The answer lay in the lessons yet to come. As dawn unveiled her golden light, Thomas stood before the chapel, heart a tempest of anticipation and hope. The village gathered, faces aglow with expectation. They had ventured into the depths of their fears, and now, like flowers unfolding toward the sun, they were poised to step into new beginnings. Brothers and sisters, Thomas called, voice steady, this is the moment we embrace the fullness of truth. We have sought the light and shared our burdens, now let us pursue the vibrant tapestry of both hope and faith. A rustle echoed among the villagers as they settled into their seats, eager to witness the dawn of their journey. Underneath the flickering candles, doubt still lingered, yet the weight felt lighter, as if they shared a burden transformed into a blessing. Thomas recalled the nights of heartfelt prayers, the tears he'd shed for his son, for the villagers grappling with their own shadows. He remembered the warmth that had wrapped around him when his son had been healed, the light that had driven darkness from their hearts. What would manifest today? What divine revelations awaited at their doorstep? As he began to weave the tales from the sacred scriptures, the stories vibrated with new meaning. Look at the journey of our ancestors, he said passionately. Each trial they faced fed both their doubts and their strength. Noah, Abraham, and Moses all encountered storms that threatened to uproot them, but through faith, they emerged transformed. In every struggle, they found a richer understanding of God's love. The villagers listened with rapt attention, the essence of his words bathing their hearts in light. Threads of murmured agreement came forth, an energized consensus blossoming among them. Then, with a determined spark, he invited them to share their own stories. Every heart had matters to declare. Let us hear your testimonies of what faith has done in your lives. Your voices have power. Young Jacob rose, voice trembling yet bold. When my family was torn apart, I didn't know if we would ever find our way back. But through this journey, I realized that love can bridge any divide. God has called me to mend what lies broken. The villagers erupted in applause, their joy amplifying the warmth among them. Others followed, one voice sparking the next. An elderly woman shared how a stranger had extended warmth during her lonely days, a reminder that kindness persisted in a world of uncertainty. A father recounted how he had learned to stand firm for his children's futures, even in the face of criticism from those dismissive of change. Thomas felt the weight of these stories surrounding them, lifting the chapel roof to the heavens. In these declarations of faith, we see God's hand moving, he said, eyes alight. Together, we weave a divine tapestry, a powerful unveiling of collective faith and truth. But with the rising tide of enthusiasm, a murmur arose from the shadows. But what if we confront opposition? A voice murmured. What if our journey brings strife? Thomas smiled gently, sensing the prevailing caution. Yes, trials come, but so do victories. Remember, it's in unity that our purpose grows stronger. For every thorn, there lies a rose bursting forth in fragrance, beauty born through struggle. Let us face challenges together and witness the transformative grace of God at work. At that moment, clouds parted, and sunbeams flared into the chapel, illuminating the hearts there gathered. The villagers felt warmth, not just from the sun but a profound divine presence enveloping them in love. Thomas sensed an urgency beckoning him further. There is power in sharing our hopes. Let us stand together to declare our commitment to love. Let us reach out not only to each other but also to those around us. May our love draw in those lost in shadows. Yes. There it was, the call to embrace transformation, reaching beyond the boundaries of fear that had once held them captive. The villagers erupted in cheers, hearts igniting like wildfire. Hand in hand, they expanded this moment, hearts intertwining, souls rising as one resilient family. And so, with uplifted voices, they declared their desires together, resonating in unison. We stand in love. We choose unity. We embrace the truth. As their voices soared, the very ground beneath them vibrated, a testimony of a village awakening to courage and unity. Thomas gazed around, tears of joy streaming down his face. This was not just the closing chapter, it was the divine beginning of their journey. The morning sun blessed their steps, paths illuminated ahead, a radiant promise waiting to unfold. No longer paralyzed by shadows, only guided by love, faith, and the undying quest for truth. This was just the start. Now, brothers and sisters, let us remember this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us spread the light. Comment your awe, your reactions, your testimonies about this powerful ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this manifestation. Don't wait even one more second. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting this divine mission.